Hi, everyone. Welcome back for this week. We're going to be covering chapter 16, which is aligning digital media with a business strategy. This chapter is really important, so please pay attention. So, this chapter is going to cover what you need when you align social media content with campaigns and business goals, how to perform social media audits with several different perspectives, and steps that can be taken to minimize the business risk arising from the deployment and social media use. So, a little introduction. Analytics should be strategically aligned to support existing business goals. We talked about this in chapter 2, 4, 5. Those are all like that is the whole reason it has to support these business goals or objectives. Without a well crafted or aligned social media strategy, your business will struggle to get the desired outcomes from analytics. So think of social media and business goals as like a yin and yang philosophy. The alignment of social media analytics with business objectives can be seen as an analogous to the famous Chinese yin and yang philosophy, where the two are seemingly opposing forces that complement and reinforce each other. So, reasons you have to align. It is to improve your search engine rankings of businesses' websites. Listen to and communicate with customers. This will increase your customer satisfaction, probably improve your reviews, decrease your bounce rate, all sorts of things. Gain audience insight and provide market research from social media analytics. You're going to know who your core customer is. It'll drive your influencer marketing and communicate with influentials because you know who's going to be your core customer's preferred person to listen to. And it's probably not going to be just a celebrity, it could be somebody that relates to your core audience. And you'll know that through social media analytics. And it'll provide customer support and advocacy services. So, aligning analytics with business objectives. So, here is like a stakeholder spreadsheet to determine the actual need, choosing the right platform, and meeting the needs to become much simpler. So, a business question: is social media conversation about our company or service positive, negative, or neutral? Well, you would use text analytics, right? And the text analytics will take what people are saying on social media, on apps, and convert it into numbers. Tweets, the source would be like a tweet, a comment, retweets, or a review. And the tool example, you might use Discover Text, Lexalytics, Cinemetra, and Brandwatch. These are all examples of text analytics sources, like software that can be used. Which content is posted over social media and is resonating with our customers? You would use action analytics, which would be sourcing out likes, shares, mentions, anything that relates to that kind of thing. This example can be used in Google Analytics or Hootsuite, which you are now very familiar with both. So go through this list and kind of look at what you would use when you do network analytics, mobile analytics, location, hyperlink, and search engine analytics, and all of the sources of software. Social media analytics alignment metrics. This is important. And so there are soft assessments such as the demand metric that can assess stakeholders to determine their levels of social media alignment. So in this example, you have the availability of resources versus the potential to achieve existing business goals. I would know this chart pretty well for your exam. Um, Okay, so if you have an existing business goal and you're in like it's really not like going anywhere, but you have like a lot of resources to get this potential goal somewhere, you're weakly aligned. So you have all these resources, but you're not aligning it with your actual business strategy. So if you have a lot of potential in business and achieving your goals, but you don't have as many resources, you're moderately aligned. You're driven, you know exactly what you want, but the resources just aren't there. And vice versa for low, medium, and high on the other side. So just kind of look through this chart. If I were to ask you a question about, let's say you have high resources but low potential, where would you be? You would be in weakly aligned. So just kind of think through these questions. Factors impacting social business alignment. There are several factors that determine where alignment you are in the social media analytics with business goals. The factors impacting alignment could be availability of technical, financial, administrative resources that are appropriate to achieve the business goals. Aligning information technologies with business objectives have been widely studied in this field. However, Aligning social media analytics with business objectives may require a comprehensive approach to the strategic alignment model suggested. The role of a CIO and IT management. So, senior IT executives, particularly the CIO, play an important role in envisioning and creating the aligned social media analytics strategy. Digital marketers have to really work hard with the IT executives and department. IT should be your best friend. You may know how to optimize and do everything on a website, but IT is the one that's going to go in and code everything. They're the brains behind your plan. So really get to know IT and especially the CIO because they play such a crucial role for social media analytics, web analytics, and mobile analytics. Skills needed by business leaders. So if you are a business person, these are the skills that you're going to be looking for. When you are thinking about strategic and evaluation decisions, you're probably thinking business and policy reasoning, IT investment for value creation, performance investment and evaluation and adjustment. Those are all things you have to think about as a business leader for strategic thinking and evaluation. When you're thinking as a business leader about system orientations, you have to know your environmental awareness, system and social dynamics, stakeholder and users. Who are they? Business processes and the information flow and workflow. And you have to also know the appreciation for complexity. So, communication, negotiation, cross boundary relationships, risk assessment and management, and problem solving. Again, these are all skills needed by business leaders. So, you might be in like a marketing or digital marketing field now, but if you possess these skills, you can move up potentially and make a lot of money in this. I know in larger cities, you can pull in around 120K. Technical leadership is also needed. This is talking about communication and education, architecture, not building like that. It's more like infrastructure and what the system looks like on your website or social media. Information and system security, obviously important. Support and services, and IT workforce investments. And then information stewardship, which is information policies, data management, data quality, information and sharing integration, record management, and information preservation. Formulating a social media strategy. So, the purpose of a social media strategy is to create rules and procedures that align with your social media engagement and business goals. So, your social media should match your whole brand plus the goals that you're trying to achieve. If you're wanting to increase customer awareness, you need to have a plan in place for customer awareness created on your social media. If you're wanting to just promote a particular product or service for an organization, you may post photos or reviews about that particular product or service on your social media. Steps in formulating a social media strategy. The first thing is you have to get an executive champion. The second is build a cross-functional team. The third is assess your organizational culture. Fourth, review your current social media presence. Fifth, determine your objectives. And sixth, align your social media goals with business goals. The seventh, develop your content strategy. Eighth, platform strategy. 9, your resource consideration. 10, establish a social media ownership plan and policy. 11, select success metrics. 12, use analytics to track progress. 13, social media strategy implementation plan. And 14, periodic review. So basically everything that we have talked about from the whole semester is all summed up in the social media strategy, right? So you have to have like your executive, you have to have a whole team. What is your organization goal? How are you going to do this? What are your objectives? Developing this format, how are you executing it? And then how are you measuring it and implementing it and reviewing it to make changes later on? This is everything we have talked about in one big chapter. There is a strategy alignment worksheet, and this is really good. It's actually in your textbook, so if you go through, you can make copies, and it's awesome worksheet to take with you for your future. I would take one copy and then just make several copies as you go on, but it'll track your progress with your social media strategy. So you can enter what your goals are, your time frame, what audiences are available, what locations are you coming from, the tactics, how are you doing this, what program or digital channels, what are your KBRs, and then what are your KPIs. This is an incredible worksheet that not only facilitates your strategy, but also you can give this to your boss and they're going to be like, holy cow, you're so good at your job. You know exactly what you're doing. And it's laid out right in front of them so they know exactly how it's happening. Managing social media risk. So, a risk is the possibility of losing a value such as intellectual or physical capital. Social media related risk needs to be managed properly from both the strategic and technological points of view. Social media risk management framework. So, the social media crisis management loop consists of 4 iterative steps: identify, access, mitigate, evaluate. You know, on social media, there are crazy stuff that happens on company websites. Wendy's, I wouldn't say they're risky, but what, like, they say like very outrageous things to other companies on Twitter, and the other teams have to respond, right? So you have to identify like where like there is a crisis, and crisis can be very small and it can also be very large scale. Maybe somebody's hacked into your system and like spammed all your followers, or maybe something really bad happened with your company. Like, for instance, airplanes tend to have really bad like public relations on social media. For example, there was a comedian who was kicked out of a plane due to the fact that he was overweight, and he had requested 2 seats and they did not give him 2 seats even though he paid for it. And then they just kicked him off. So he tweeted about this airline, I think it was Southeast, and they did not have the correct social media plan in place for this tweet. They did not identify, assess, mitigate, and evaluate. So they had a lot of PR problems due to this. And this was a famous comedian. So really take this into your framework, into your business. This is very important. So when you identify, you're evaluating the risk, identifications and understanding. And then you have to assess, what is the impact of this assessment? What is our risk prioritization? What's more important? Do we need to get a statement out, or do we need to like respond lightly? Do we not need to respond? What's happening? Mitigate, plan a strategy, plan something beforehand. Think of every possible situation that could go wrong and just kind of have like a little game plan going. It doesn't have to be something super crazy at the beginning, because then you can already have a executive order and plan. That way, when something does go like kaboo, it will already be there. Risk mitigation implementation. Then you have to evaluate. So periodic assessment and review. What's the risk that you were trying to neutralize? Was it neutralized? Like, are your consumers happy with how you handled it? Are they not? What can you do better? What are you going to learn from this in the future? How can you put this back on the company so that these risks don't happen again? These are the things you have to think about. And this is all on social media risk management. So risk identification. The main social media risks are damage to reputation. That's the biggest one. Release of confidential information. This happened to Target. Target had a confidential leak of their credit card systems. A hacker got in and released like thousands of people's information on their credit cards. So you got to have a really good system. Legal, regulatory, and compliance violations. Again, this goes with the GDPR and CCPA. Identity theft and hijacking. Loss of intellectual property. Malware is really big too. If you've ever had it spammed, like on like Facebook, I always feel like Facebook is the one that gets me like spammed on something. That's huge risk, especially if it's your ad and you didn't know it was happening. Loss of privacy and social engineering attacks. Okay, the MITRE risk assessment. So the risk assessment is a process that determines the likelihood of social media risk event that could possibly impact the organization economically, technologically, politically, or socially. So these are very 4 big things. So if you are doing a risk assessment, you have to know what economical events happening to your organization. What kind are you taking a loss? Like, what's going on? Is it not really a loss, but it could potentially be a loss? What about technically? What about politically? What if it's something like you didn't even think about, and your company may have said like a faux pas? Or socially, maybe you said something on social media, one of your employees, and you were like, oh, we should not have said that. So these are all things that could impact an organization. The MIRTE risk assessment, these are all the probability statistics that can occur. So the risk priorities and rank based the probability of occurrence and the impact on the organization. Know this chart, but you will not be tested on it. I'm not going to make you do any kind of math or anything. Risk mitigation. So types of risk mitigation strategies are risk management governance, training and awareness, social media policy, and secure your social media platforms. Change your password, even your personal social media accounts, not the business ones you could run or potentially run or are running. Change your passwords. So, securing your social media platforms, make sure you use a strong password. If you have an iPhone, and I'm sure Samsung does something like this too, if you have an Apple device, they automatically suggest like these crazy passwords to use, and you don't know it, but it automatically saves it, and then your face does it. Two-mode authentication. I highly recommend this, especially for business accounts. Disable or revoke third-party apps. Login notification. So if you got emails about maybe another device logged in and it was from some like other state 50 miles away, 100 whatever, and you're like, okay, well, like that's not right, then you can go in and log that person out and know, okay, something's going on with our business account. Trusted contact. Make sure your contact information is A, valid, and B, you trust the people who are in charge of your social media. And then review your login history. You can actually go in on some social media apps and see, like, okay, like we logged in at this time, this time, this time, and you can check people. You can actually go back and check employees to say what they're doing, see what they're doing, and validate you're paying them for what they're actually saying they're doing. Risk evaluation. In face of rapid technological, political, and social change, social media risk should be periodically reviewed. So again, this chapter, we just covered the essentials elements of aligning social media business goals with social media to introduce the alignment metrics. We also discussed ways to evaluate risks that are connected with social media analytics using the MITRE framework. So, as we reduce risk, organizations should strengthen the steps to protect their passwords, personal and business accounts, and infrastructure from various security threats, including network and computer hacking. Please go over and review these questions. If you have any concerns or you're having a hard time assessing and finding an answer to one of these, feel free to email me and I will set up a Zoom meeting with you and we can go over everything a little bit more in depth. Also, use your textbook. That is one of the best textbooks I've ever found. It's very detailed. These PowerPoints are more broad. The textbook's very detailed. So go back through your textbook and also look through that. If you have any questions, contact me. Other than that, I will talk to you soon.